The shot didn't ring out like in the movies. It just landed. Late light spilling down the steps of the Hollis Creek Public Library. Air heavy with summer. And my boy 13, skinny as a spare, pencil gray hoodie half on, was walking out with his sketchbook tucked under his arm. He said, "See you tomorrow" to his friend with his hands, not his mouth, because that's how Jay speaks. The cruiser hopped the curb. No siren, no ma'am. Can we talk? Just doors, flying, two officers with guns, and a shout that never had a chance of being heard. "Hands up, don't move." He turned partway, one hand still drawing the last word in the air. Then a crack. Paper everywhere. A small sound when his body hit the concrete, too small for what it carried. I was 400 miles away, pretending to enjoy a Senate hearing on digital safety. I had a binder, a microphone, a measured tone. What I also had built into my son's medical band was a triple pulse alert that goes off only when his vitals nosedive. It buzzed against my ribs like a trapped bee. I didn't make a speech. I closed the binder. "I have to leave," I said. I walked out before anyone decided if I was allowed. 17 minutes after the plane cleared the weather, the world snapped into 2 rooms in ICU where wires breathed for a child who paints superheroes, and a small living room in a borrowed house where my team spread out laptops and bad coffee. I took off the badge and the blazer. I kept the part of me that remembers every defense counsel who ever rolled their eyes when I brought up bias, and every judge who said "you're emotional" when I meant "you're wrong." "Quiet," I told Grant, my security lead. "We move quiet." He nodded. Theo, 20-something, curls tucked under a beanie, fingers like a pianist, sat down with his rig. "I'll tap the city network," he said. "Just don't ask how." At the hospital, Dr. Nandakumar met me at the door with a face that said she'd learned to deliver hard news without breaking in half. "He's critical, Miss Parker," she said, then caught the look. "General Parker," I corrected softly. "Old habits." "Naomi is fine," I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. "Where is my son?" Room 7A, machines, humming blue light, a smear of dried blood near his ear, where the implant had been yanked free. I took his hand. It wasn't soft. He climbs trees, he sketches, he signs. Those hands have calluses. "You didn't get to say no," I whispered. Somewhere outside, a news van door slid open. Inside me, something slid shut. Hollis Creek loves calling itself forward. We've got murals, coffee shops with clever names, a tech incubator full of people who think a hoodie is a personality. Scratch it, though, and you find what my mama found when she cleaned houses here, an old reflex that flinches at the sight of a black child moving too fast. Theo's voice cut through from the safe house, too calm for what he'd found. "I'm in." "In what?" "There are back-end dispatch logs, tag feeds the new pilot. It's called Sentinel Index. Orion Dynamics sold it to the city under emergency procurement. If you've ever had a moment when the last puzzle piece slid in and you hated the picture that was mine, what did it flag? Juvenile male 5'6" hoodie, aberrant kinetic motion, proximity to public building." He clicked. "There's a manual override to priority engagement. Logged by Officer K. Rudd. 5 minutes before the shot." "Rudd," I repeated. "And his partner, L. Pike. Newer." He wrote, hang on. Theo squinted at code only he could love. He wrote, "He was signing." Then nothing. "Looks like the entry got edited. Chief Keegan wanted to meet." Of course she did. Her office was bright, all windows and plaques, and a pitcher of water nobody touched. "This is regrettable," she said, chin high. Regrettable is a word people use when they're trying not to say unforgivable. "A child is in a coma," I told her. "We're reviewing protocol. The system may have misinterpreted movement near a school zone. You're blaming software. The AI is just a recommendation engine, General." "Good," I said, "because the recommendation didn't pull a trigger, your officer did." I slid a drive across the glass. Internal comms. Rudd Kid matched the profile. Moving weird. Pike. "He's deaf." Rudd, "Don't care." Keegan's mouth opened and closed like a beached fish. "I'm not here to debate philosophy," I added. "I'm here to start a clock." I wish I could tell you that everything after that was righteous and loud. It wasn't. It was a whisper that picked up speed. A nurse at the desk who recognized my boy's last name and blinked hard. An orderly who stood a little taller when he passed our door. A teenager in scrubs who scribbled a note on her palm and showed it to me. He's my age. Past midnight, the knock at the safe house side door came soft like someone trying not to wake a baby. Grant tensed. I nodded. He cracked it open. A woman in a wrinkled uniform stood on the stoop badge, crooked eyes dark from the kind of tired that doesn't sleep off. Officer Reyes, she said, I shouldn't be here, but I saw something and I can't pretend I didn't. She held out a rubber-sleeved drive like it might bite. Backup body cam, it was supposed to be erased. I took it. Theo slid it in. We watched. It was all there in brutal quiet. My son on the library steps. Sunlight on his face, fingers moving in rhythm. He was signing a line from a song his grandmother taught him, his favorite, the one that makes him grin without trying. The cruiser screeched in, Rudd's gun already up. Stop moving. Jay's hands kept the beat. And that was it, shock drop paper fluttering like birds spooked from a power line. Theo froze the frame on Jay's hand mid-sign hope. I traced the shape in the air with my own fingers and felt something give way in my chest. I didn't go on television. I didn't call a press conference. I walked a drive into the governor's office and set it down on the table. Governor Dale Whitmore is a pro at looking sad on camera. In person, she looks like a woman who hates being surprised. How bad is it? She asked 5 minutes later, voice a little smaller. Systemic, I said, and close enough to your signature to burn. What do you want? Shut it down, statewide. Every Sentinel Index pilot. Tonight. She stared at the door like she could find a different answer on the other side. That's political suicide, Naomi. My son is upstairs learning how to breathe again because your state bought fear and called it innovation, I told her. If you don't sign, I won't have to say a word. Parents will, teachers will, kids will, and the only thing worse than doing the wrong thing is getting caught doing nothing. By morning, no cameras, no ribbon cutting, an order went out. Sentinel suspended across Magnolia. In the afternoon, I sent a private link to 25 people, no press, no hashtags. A deaf advocate in Baton Rouge, a middle school teacher in Omaha, a pastor in Flint, a father in Oregon who once wrote me about his son being punished for stimming in class. The subject line said, you deserve to see what they tried to erase. It didn't go viral, it went vital. A small burn in 100 different places, kitchen tables, teachers' lounges, youth centers. Someone chalked a mural outside the library, a kid with a cape, hands mid-sign. Underneath, he was singing. In 7A, a pinky twitched. Then a thumb. A nurse missed it. I didn't. You're still in there, I told him, forehead to forehead. Later that evening, his fingers brushed my palm. 2 taps he learned as a toddler when his ears wouldn't keep what he heard. I'm here. The hearing started like all hearings do, nameplates, water carafes, people pretending microphones are friends. Chief Keegan stumbled through regret. Orion Dynamics rolled out charts about efficiency. A congressman tried to teach me the difference between an outlier and a trend. Cute. When it was my turn, I didn't sharpen my voice. I softened it. You built a machine to learn our fears, I told Orion's VP, and you sold it to a city where children signed to say hello. You didn't misread the data. You never taught your system that hands can be language. So my question isn't whether it worked. My question is who it worked for. Officer Rudd was charged manslaughter falsifying a report. The union called it a tragic split second. I call it a decision. Sentinel contracts were suspended in public schools pending review. That same week, a pilot started at Lincoln Middle ASL first period, open to everyone from 7th graders to 2 officers who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else, until a girl with braids fixed their finger shapes and they laughed like kids. And when my boy opened his eyes, slow searching, I forgot every line I'd ever written. Hey, I said, crying in a way I've always mocked on TV. No sound from him yet, throat still raw. His hand moved shaky, stubborn. He signed, am I safe? You ever have your heart split between the truth and what a child deserves to hear? I wanted to say yes so loud it broke a window. I signed back, you will be. That's the promise I learned to make the day somebody decided my marriage certificate and my degree and my title couldn't keep a bullet from assuming black means threat. Here's the part people won't agree on, and that's fine. Argue with me in the comments if you need to. Some folks will say it was one officer, one bad day. Some will say it's all the machine's fault. Some will say parents should teach their kids to freeze. I say we've been training kids to shrink so long, We forgot to train ourselves to look. I say bias wrapped in code still bites. I say if you're going to carry a gun and a badge in my town, you better learn the language our children use to say hello. I didn't win a war. I started a fuse. In neighborhoods I'll never visit, little hands are spelling out freedom in classrooms that never thought to teach it. In squad rooms that used to laugh at accommodations, there are whiteboards with the alphabet drawn in hands, not letters. And on the wall outside a little library in Hollis Creek, rain keeps trying to wash away a chalk boy with a cape. Every morning somebody redraws him. You can call that justice if you want. I call it the first mile of a long road. So tell me, what do you see when a kid moves his hands where you live? Does your town flinch or does it listen? Have you watched a system mistake difference for danger? Police, schools, hospitals, anywhere. Put it here. Argue with me about the line between safety and fear. Tell me what you were taught and what you unlearned. And if this hit a nerve, share it with one person who needs to hear it, then write 4 words I want pinned everywhere. Hands are not weapons.